Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Fireside Stories with Danny McLeod. All stories are considered non-canon content unless otherwise noted by staff. This story is called Gary MacHine and the Angry Selkie. Aye, so you want to hear a tale. All right. How about one about an old potato farmer? I know, potato farming is not very interesting. But, trust me, this gets interesting. So out in Uiskadora, the dark waters, by the sea, there lived a man named Gary MacHine. Old potato farmer. So poor he didn't have a pot to piss in. Well, one evening, late at night, after Gary had been out in the fields all day, he was down by the coast, trying to scrounge up some shellfish for dinner. As Gary's sifting through all of the sand, he looks up. There's a tide pool in the distance, and he sees someone in there, bathing. Now Gary here, he ain't the swiftest of mind. Gary sees someone bathing in a tide pool randomly on the beach, and he doesn't see anything wrong with that. So Gary walks up to this tide pool and stands there and sees the most beautiful woman he had ever seen in his life, just scrubbing herself in this tide pool. Gary thinks he's smitten, thinks he's fallen in love. He goes up to the edge of the tide pool and he says, "Hey there, lassie. I don't know what you're doing out here all by yourself, but would you care to join me for dinner? I've got plenty of shellfish." Now, if it seems odd that Gary would offer a bathing woman shellfish on the beach, you'd be right. That's a mighty strange thing to do. But Gary was an odd one. Odder still, the lady accepted. This went on for several nights, over several months. Gary thinking he was entirely smitten with this lovely woman, and the lady getting a lovely shellfish dinner every night. Now this continued on for a long time, till one cold night, when Gary came down to the beach planning to propose. The beach was clear. The pool was empty. Only thing he could see there was a fur coat. He had a right mind to wait for his lady right there, but it was so cold. Gary looked down at that fur coat, thinking, that must be my lady's. She wouldn't mind if I wore it. Gary reached down to that bit of fur. He wrapped himself up in it. Now for those of you that have been paying attention, a lady bathing in a tide pool with a fur coat, that should remind you of something. This lady, this thing at the coast, she was a Selkie, and they don't take very kindly to anyone touching their coats. So Gary's sitting there on the beach, wrapped in a Selkie's coat. He sees his lady in the surf, charging up at him in a righteous fury that only the Fae can have. She screams at him and curses him. Now, I don't need to tell you how powerful Fae curses can be. This curse wasn't one of the normal ones. This curse made Gary see all of the seals on the beach as his lady. and it gave him a righteous need to show his affections. After several hours of this horrible spectacle, she leaves him on the beach, heartbroken, now an outcast from his people. They say he still wanders the beach, looking for his lady love, with his coat wrapped around him, trying to make amends. Thank you all for listening. This concludes the story of Gary MacHine and the Angry Selkie.